Welcome to Bloggers Creating Courses, the podcast which will take you behind the scenes of creating an online course. I'm your host, Verity Songon, founder and education consultant of veritysongon.com. I'm so excited to help you create an online course that you are proud of and to be part of your journey to scale your business as an online course creator. Let's get into the episode.
Right then, so Shannon, I am so excited that we are doing this podcast episode today. We have been talking about this for, it feels like a couple of months now, but just to give our listeners a bit of a background, this is not our ordinary episode that we would do on Bloggers Creating Courses. We're not talking about blogs, we're not talking about an online course, we're not talking about business, we're not talking about personal development, anything like that. We are going to be talking about where I come from, which is tiny little Jersey, because the more that I talk to people, the more people are like, you don't sound like you're from Jersey, and they're thinking about Jersey where you're from, which is New Jersey. And I then have to go into this whole saga and explaining that no, I'm from the other Jersey, and that then comes with loads and loads of questions. So we were talking about this a couple of months ago, and we were saying that it would be really, really fun to just do a really random episode where you interview me, which is quite strange to be interviewed on my own podcast, but you'll interview me answering these top questions that I get about Jersey. So I put out on my Instagram and on my Twitter just what do people want to know about Jersey, and I got loads of questions in, which I didn't read them properly because I thought it would be more fun if I didn't. I just sent them straight through to you. You've got them there, so this is going to be a little bit, I don't exactly know which questions are coming, which is going to be interesting. But yeah, so it's going to be a very different show today, and I'm excited for it. I would say I've got a cup of tea, but it's actually quite warm here now, so I don't have a cup of tea. I've just got some squash with me. But before we start, I'm going to hand over to you and get you to explain what it is that you do and tell us about your amazing podcast, because I'm obsessed with your podcast. So tell us about you before we launch into the episode.
Sure. Well, I'm so excited to be here with you, Verity. You were actually, or will be, I should say, we already did the interview, but the episode that you were on of my podcast will be out in the next month. And I'm very excited for that. But my podcast is, yes, it was so much fun. We became fast friends. This is so great. But my podcast is Second Act Success. So it's all about women and some men that have started a career and then made a change to find happiness in a new career path that they enjoy. And I share stories with women like yourself about the changes that they've made, and really just kind of getting all into it. I'm a career coach, and I'm an entrepreneur. I have another business as well. So yeah, so it's really fun. I'm excited for Verity to be on, for you to be on my podcast as well.
Absolutely. And I'm going to have your show linked down in the show notes as well. And if anyone's needing just like a little bit of inspiration for any change in your life, if you're having a little bit of sort of, I'm not sure if I want to change my career or my life direction or anything, just listen to Shannon's podcast, please. It's called Second Act Success. And as I said, there's a story in there for everybody. Because how many episodes are you up to now?
We aired 14 today. So 14 so far.
Yeah. And even within that 14, I really think there's something for everybody. I'm just going to keep touting about your podcast because I absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant. And I know that you're doing 2 episodes a week through July as well.
We are. So all of July will be 2 episodes. And then if it goes well, then we'll keep it up that way, because we have so many amazing stories. And every time I meet someone, they suggest someone else that I have to talk to. So it's just been great. And myself, I was a television producer, and then I changed to open my own business where I teach STEM education to kids. And then I decided to become a career coach and start this podcast and, create another business on top of it. So I just think there's inspiration in other people's stories. So it's really fun to share with everyone.
Definitely. You're so multifaceted. Every time I talk to you, there seems to be something else that you're doing or working on. People have to follow you on Instagram as well, because you're always doing something amazing, which is just fantastic too, to follow your journey. Oh, bless you. I'm not sure if it's fascinating or just craziness on my Instagram, to be quite honest with you. Anyway, let's kick off. You've got a list of questions. Let's see where this goes. So
Oh.
hit me with the first question and we'll see where it goes.
Sure. So, and I love this because I am from New Jersey in the States and you are from Jersey. So tell me, the first question is, where is Jersey?
Nowhere near America, nowhere near your Jersey. So my Jersey is in between England and France. And if I was organized, I would have pulled up the Wikipedia page and told you exactly how many miles from England and France, but I'm not that organized. But if you kind of look at a map, first of all, you probably won't even see Jersey. But if you look at a map, find the south coast of England, go down, and then you'll see the Bay of St. Malo in France, and we kind of sit in that bay. I'm pointing around and talking with my hands. This is a podcast. That's quite a silly thing to do. But yeah, we're in between England and France, closer to France than England, but we're not French.
So interesting. And it's a small island then? It's a small island. Like, do you know everyone there?
No, I love this question because when Jersey people tend to go to university, we tend to go to uni in the UK, so England, Scotland, wherever. And one of the biggest questions we get is, do you know everybody? Because there's I think our population official stats is something like 110,000, something like that. And my reaction, whenever people say, do you know everybody? My immediate reaction is, well, do you have 110,000 friends? To which somebody then normally goes, oh, but do you know this person? And you're like, oh yeah, actually, my grandma's dog sitter used to babysit them. Well, it's one of those weird things that your immediate reaction is always, no, we don't know everybody. But then as soon as someone says a name, you're like, oh yeah, I went to school with that person, and then it's their auntie's ex-partner. I don't know. There's always some kind of weird link. You know how they say that you go around the world and you can there's X amount of connections until you find people. It's like that in Jersey, but on a magnitude. So no, I don't know everybody, but if you picked a random name, there probably would be some kind of route back to that person.
Well, and you told me in our other discussion that you were born there. You went to school in the UK, over in England, and then you came back. So do a lot of people do that? Is it the kind of area or community that you want to stay in?
It's kind of split, to be honest with you. So yeah, a lot of people leave to go to college or uni in the UK. A number of people do come back. There's something about Jersey which has got quite a bit of a draw to it, the whole quote unquote island life that people love. But then we do also have quite a high cost of living over here. So a lot of people find that can be challenging, and also because it is only a 45 square mile, there's also a limit on the types of jobs. So if you want quite a specialist job or whatever, then either the job doesn't exist over here, or there's maybe only one or two people employed to that job. So for some people, they have to leave the island if they want to be in a certain field. But then at the same time, some people love to come back here because, well, it's the sunniest part of Britain statistically. Yeah, it is. Sorry, that's my baby. So yeah, so statistically we're the sunniest part of the British Isles, but at the end of the day, it's still Britain, so it does still rain.
So you're close to France as well. So are you French? I just have to ask.
No, we're not French. We could do a whole podcast series on this, but back in the 1200s or something, there's always been some kind of dispute historically between England and France over the Channel Islands. But in the 1200s or something like that, I say this, I'm trying to remember, there was a bus advertisement about it a few years ago. But anyway, in the 1200s was we officially became British. We're not English, we're not French, but we're British. And a lot of our road names are French over here, though, which is quite interesting. And we've got a lot of French influence, particularly Norman French, but no, we're not French. And we made the international news recently because we fell out with the French, something about fishing quotas and electricity. Ooh. Yeah, it was something to do with Brexit. I don't pay much attention, I have to say. Something to do with Brexit, which I'm sure everybody's heard of, and fishing quotas, the French in the Jersey waters, and something about how much they could fish, and then they were threatening to cut off our electricity because our electricity comes from France, and it all got very heated. And
wow.
Yeah, but it's fine. We've still got electricity, and they've still got fishing their fish, so it's fine. It got sorted.
Everyone's happy.
Exactly.
So do some French people live there in Jersey?
Yeah. There was particularly a generation or so ago, there were quite a few people from France who, I don't know, do you emigrate from France to Jersey? But, moved over from France to
Yeah.
Jersey. And there is still quite a French community over here. But like in our schools, everyone learns French up until, I don't know, maybe 13, 14 years old or something. We're not fluent. I learned French from the ages of like 7 to, actually I've got an A level in French, which I don't know what the equivalent is in America for that. So we take A levels at about 17, 18 years old. So I don't know if that's kind of like high school diploma age, maybe. I'm not too sure. But either way, I studied French for like 10 years and I can't speak it fluently at all. So yeah.
Well, one of these questions on here is, do you speak English?
Yes.
Funny question.
I can speak, and sometimes I don't even speak English very well. Thank you, Grammarly, who sorts me out so much.
Here's a good one. Are there cars in Jersey?
Yes, there's cars in Jersey. Yes, I'm looking at my car out the window right now. There's definitely cars. Incidentally, if you go to Sark, which is another Channel Island, there aren't any cars on Sark, but then it's very small. You can walk around it.
How far so I'm just thinking, if you wanted to drive from one end of the island to the other, how long would that take you?
That's an excellent question. So if there's no traffic, you could probably do it in like 20, 30 minutes if all of the lights were in your favor and there's no traffic type thing. But that's incredibly rare. So like I live one end of the island and my husband's mother lives the complete opposite end of the island. It can take anywhere up to an hour to get to her house, and we're only 9 by 5 square miles, so it's not like it's huge. But like the school run in the morning will take easily 45 minutes just to get to school, and then 45 minutes back because of the traffic, and it's all little country lanes and what have you. So yeah, it's not the easiest place to drive quickly around.
But it's so small compared to New Jersey. I am thinking, gosh, I feel like it's 30 minutes just in my community to get from one side to the other. So probably from the state, I'm totally guessing maybe 3 to 4 hours to drive from top to bottom. So big difference between New Jersey and Jersey.
100%. We say it's called island fever, where people are like, oh my God, it takes me like an entire 20 minutes to drive somewhere. And then you try and say that to somebody from anywhere that's not Jersey, and they're like, 20 minutes, that's literally nothing. And you're like, no, it's such a drama from where I'm from. It's all relative, I suppose.
Okay, next question. Do you have electricity?
Yes. Because I'm recording a podcast on a laptop.
You are not in the dark.
No, we've 100% got electricity. Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. Can you drink the water there?
Yes, we can drink the water. The Jersey Water Company keep our taps going, and yep, you can completely drink the water. You can drink bottled as well if you want, but the tap water is drinkable. What I'm drinking at the moment.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, here. Do I need an adapter for my electronics, I think is what they were trying to say.
Yeah, it depends where you're coming from. So if you're coming over from England, then no, because we use the same ports as the UK, as Britain. If you're coming from Europe or the States, then yes, you would need an adapter.
What is your currency in Jersey?
So we use the British pound. We've got our own. Yeah, we've got the British pound, and we use British pound notes and pound and coins and what have you. And then we've also got our own Jersey version, which just say bailiwick of Jersey on them, but it's still all legal tender.
Oh, okay. Is it really a tax haven?
Well, I pay tax, so I'm willing, from my lowly middle class point of view, I would say no, because I pay tax. I'm sure if you're in certain circles of money and wealth, my understanding is that yes, it is a tax haven, but for everybody who I know, they would say no, because we all pay tax.
The regular people, yes.
Exactly. The regular people don't see it as a tax haven, but the media like to portray us as this beautiful tax haven where everybody's just filthy rich. It's not like that when you're here. Like, there is money, but not everyone's filthy rich.
Okay, so Verity, you have to try to get into those circles so that your life can be a tax haven too. That's like that's your next venture.
I love that.
Well, on the same note, do you drink champagne and eat caviar all day?
No, because I don't eat anything. Okay, you're gonna like laugh at this. I'm from an island and I don't eat seafood. I hate seafood with a passion.
Oh my goodness.
But I know, right? But there was this, where that question comes from is a few years ago, there was like an ex-politician. I'm really trying to stretch my mind back now, but there was like this ex-politician who left Jersey, went to the UK and did some kind of quote unquote expose to one of the national newspapers. And basically it got put in one of the national newspapers that Jersey people just sit around all day drinking champagne and eating caviar. And when that got put out in the national news, everyone from Jersey was like, yeah, no, where's all this champagne that we're supposedly drinking? Like, you know, we're all looking in our cupboards being like, nope, that's not full of champagne. So since that kind of, like I said, quote unquote expose, so many people are like, so you just drink champagne and eat caviar? No, that's like the previous question. I'm sure there are some people in Jersey who drink a lot of champagne, but the regular people who I know, or the majority, in fact, everyone that I know, that's not normal.
That's not it. Okay, so if I want to visit you in Jersey, how do I get there? Is there an airport? Someone is asking.
Yes, there is an airport. It's just up the road from where I live. So we've got an airport, and we've also, you can get the boat over here. You can get the boat over from England and France, and our airport is international, but I don't know how far international. It doesn't go like your side of the Atlantic international. We'd have to go through London or another major city for that, but you can get to quite a few places in Europe and Britain.
Great. How about the boat? How long would that boat ride be to get to England or to France?
So you can. For France, you can do it within an hour. It's about an hour. Doesn't take very long. For England, I want to say about 4 hours. Or you can do what they call an overnight ferry, where you leave at like 9 in the evening and get into England at like 6 in the morning or something. So it just depends what you want to do.
That's fun. Nice little weekend trip.
I would say yes, but I'm not a ferry person at all. I'm like the worst person to live on an island, aren't I? I don't eat seafood. I don't like going on boats. I will go live in a landlocked country.
Do you like the beach? Do you have nice beaches?
Beach. Yes, we've got gorgeous, gorgeous beaches. I live just down the road from this absolutely stunning beach, which it's called St. Brellard's Bay, and it like wins awards. I don't know how a beach wins awards, but this one does, and it's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
Ooh. Well, here's a fun fact. In New Jersey, you have to pay to go on the beach.
What?
I don't know if you knew that. So
I didn't.
It's crazy. It's not like that in other states, but for some reason in New Jersey, you have to have a beach badge. And I live about 10 minutes from the beach in New Jersey, and I have to pay, I believe it's like between $5 and $10 to get on the beach per person.
What?
Or
like
you can
every
get
time?
Every time, or you can get a season badge that you bring, and you have to keep on your beach towel or on your bathing suit, and people will walk up and down the beach, and if you're laying out soaking in the sun, they'll come and tap on you and say, can I see your proof that you paid to get on? It's horrible.
That's insane. And also, they don't cover that on Jersey Shore, I'm sure.
No.
That's insane. No, we just walk down the beach all the time. It'll be like 6 in the evening. You're like, fancy walking the dog down the beach. Yeah, off we go.
And that's how it should be. But I thought that would be super interesting for you to hear, because with your beautiful beach, can you imagine having to pay every time you go? That's crazy.
Oh, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'd boycott it.
I know. We go in the off seasons. So basically for the busy seasons for us is Memorial Day to Labor Day here. So basically May to September is when you have to pay. The rest of the year you can go for free. So that's when my family and I go.
That is insane.
Yes.
Oh gosh. No, oh my gosh, that's insane. You've like blown my mind with that. Interview over. My mind is blown.
Okay, so let's see. Oh gosh, this is an awful question. I don't even know if we want to ask it, but it says, are Jersey people inbred?
Oh no, that's it. You can totally ask that question because we get
Okay.
asked it so much. That's
Uh,
absolutely fine. So basically, it's because we are quite a small island community, and because there's some Jersey families. So like my family on my mum's side, yeah, my family can be traced back over 400 years on the island. So because of that, and because people know that it's quite a small community, people do tend to ask like, "Are you inbred?" And I don't know anyone who's inbred. I don't know anyone who's like randomly got 20 toes. I was going to say 20 toes, obviously. Yeah, you know what I mean. We've all got 20 digits. But like, I don't know anyone who like randomly got 20 toes on one foot or something. Nah,
no.
we're going to go with no for that one.
Okay, good. Here's an interesting one considering today's news. How do you feel about Boris?
Oh yeah, I was like, what news? Oh yeah, that he's just resigned, hasn't he? How topical.
Yes.
I don't have much of an opinion on Boris. Like, I keep an eye on what goes on in UK politics, but don't. I don't really have much of an opinion, to be honest with you. Let's move
Yeah.
on. That's quite a political question.
It is very political. I'm just reading the questions.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Like I said, I don't really know what's coming up.
Yeah,
But
I love that.
yeah.
Well, this is what people want to know. All right, let's see. Here's one we kind of covered, but do you have your own language?
So do we have our own language? Fun fact, yes, we do actually. It's called Bergerac, which is Jersey French. So basically, back in the day, when the Norman French people came over, they brought the Norman French culture and language, and over the years that like developed into a dialect, I suppose, which is Jersey French or Jersey Norman French. But on saying that, I'm going to say no one speaks it, and there will be some people from Jersey who are very angry, but like there are some people that speak it. But like, again, like the French thing, you don't walk down the road and hear people just speaking in Jerrier. It's something that they teach it in schools, and there's like pockets of people who will do like clubs and study groups on it, but it's not widely spoken. There's a lot of work in the government to, like I said, work with schools and try and bring the language back. And you know, on special holidays and stuff, they'll do like certain pushes for the language and stuff, but it's minimally spoken, I guess I could probably say, without a load of Jersey people shooting me. So yes, we do, but it's not an official language. But yeah, and if you're going to follow up with can I speak it?
I was
Not
going
very
to.
well. Not very well. I know a couple of phrases and a couple of words, which I'm not going to say because there will probably be some person who speaks Jersey French and is like, oh my God, Verity, you've just like butchered our language.
Right.
So I'm just not going to bother. But it's not too dissimilar to French. It's quite. I also can't do a Jersey accent, which doesn't help. But it's got quite a harsh tone to it, I feel. I'm going to have to find some examples of people speaking Jersey French and link it in the show notes so people can actually.
Do you have your own money? We kind of talked about that.
Yeah, so we do have our own money. It's the British pound, and then which is our currency, and then yeah, we've got our own versions of the notes as well. Which, interestingly enough, if you take them over to England, they most likely won't accept them in the shop. But yeah, it is legal currency.
Nice. Let's see. Aren't you all just really rich to live there?
No, we're not. And I guess it's relative, because I'm sure a lot of people would look at our wages in certain sectors and say, well, that's an awful lot, but then we've got a high cost of living. So it's like anything, isn't it? It's all relative. But personally, I would say no, we're not all really rich over here.
Okay, here's one. Have you met Bergerac?
No. Do you guys have Bergerac in the US?
We do not. I'm not sure what this is.
Okay, so Bergerac is a TV show from the 1980s, and the main protagonist was called Jim Bergerac, and he was played by an actor called John Nettles. I don't know if you guys if John Nettles is popular over there or whatever. But anyway, so Jim Bergerac is a TV character, basically, and it's a little bit, if you watch back episodes of Bergerac now, I'm told it's similar to if you live in New York and watch the Marvel franchise. It just doesn't really make sense. So like I've watched some of the Bergerac ones, and like he's going down one road in one parish, and then he comes out like completely the other end of the island. And apparently it's similar if you watch the Marvel and you live in New York. You're like, that street does not lead into that street. That just makes no sense. So to answer the question, no, I've never met Bergerac because he's a fictional character. And I've also never met John Nettles because I'm just not in John Nettles' social circle. But my daughter sat in Bergerac's car, if that counts. She wasn't supposed to. They did a Bergerac exhibition at the museum, which we took her and a friend to, and the car was there, and it was all like cordoned off, and her friend snuck under the cordons, and we're like, "Mummy, look, we're sitting in this car," and like the friend's mum and I were like horrified. We were like, "Get out, it's Bergerac's car," and there's like signs everywhere being like, "Don't sit in Bergerac's car," and yeah. I think they're going to look at doing a reboot. I'm sure I saw that in the news at some point, that they're going to try and reboot it as a series, but I don't know how that's going to work. But no, I have not met Bergerac.
Wow, if the show is so popular, maybe people over in the States do know it, and I just don't. So I feel bad saying no that we don't. So maybe it's just me.
But you could YouTube it. And actually, again, fun fact, my great-grandfather made his way into one of the episodes at one point or another. As you do.
That's
so, yeah,
so
I'll
incredible.
find you some clips on YouTube and I'll send them over.
How fun. Oh, I love that. It's your claim to fame over there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you wear sweaters? Yeah, what kind of things do you wear with the weather?
No, I think that's because jerseys is a type of jumper. So, like, loads of people tend to ask it tongue-in-cheek and be like, so, do you wear sweaters or, like, jersey sweaters? Like, no, we wear jumpers just like everybody else when it's cold. But then it's funny because at the moment it's in the 20s. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. But I was on a call with somebody in Texas the other day, and she was like, oh, my God, it's so hot at the moment. We're having a heat wave. And I said, yeah, I know what you mean. It's like 25 degrees or something. And she kind of looked at me. And then I worked it out in Fahrenheit, and she goes, it's like in the 40s. It was like over 100 degrees basically where she was, which is over the 40s in Celsius. And I was like, yeah, it's really not a heat wave at all over here, is it? And she was like, no, that's literally our winter. And I was like, but it's really hot at the moment. So I guess it's all relative, but yeah.
Well, do you have a winter? Like, what is your weather? What are your seasons like?
Yeah, so we've got 4 seasons, just like I think you guys have 4 seasons as well. So we've got, we've got the 4 seasons. In the summer, we can be looking at high 20s, low 30s. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. I'm just going to like bring Google up really quickly.
Maybe it's like us, like we're like, 70s and 80s, maybe 90s, which is really hot here.
Here we go. So 30 degrees is about 86 Fahrenheit, it says. So yeah, I think we've probably got similar kind of weather. So when it hits about 30 is when, as British people, we're like, oh my God, it's just way too hot. And then in our winters, it's normally, I don't know, between like 0 and 10 degrees. Again, I'm not really sure how that works out in Fahrenheit, but
yeah, sounds pretty similar.
Yeah.
But I like that you said it's the sunny part of your area, because when I was in England in college, it was the month of January and it was dark every single day and rainy most of the days. So at least, and I haven't been there in the nicer parts of the year, so I shouldn't I don't know it all year long, but I love that you at least have some sun where you are.
We do. And as the quote unquote sunniest part of the British Isles, it's supposedly sunnier here. And again, I don't know how they measure these things, but it's supposedly sunnier here than the rest of the British Isles. So I'll take that.
Yeah. Is it a big vacation spot? Do a lot of people come to vacation if it's sunnier and you have like nice beaches?
Yeah, so we do have quite a good tourism industry. It was better in decades gone by. So like there's a lot of conversations about how the tourism over here is declining and what have you. Because I think a lot of people find it cheaper to go on holidays more further abroad, like Spain and France and stuff. But no, people do come over for long weekends and school holidays and what have you. You should come and see the sun in our free beaches.
Yes, that's amazing. So here's a good question, which I wonder if this is like we have here in the States, but the question is, do you know the Housewives?
Oh, right. I don't know the Housewives, but yeah, basically how you guys have got like the Housewives of Orange County and Beverly Hills, and I think you've got a New Jersey one as well, don't you?
There's a New Jersey, there's a New York, yeah.
So we did, I say we like I was part of it, but Jersey did its own version. I want to say a couple of years ago now, season 1 aired. I can't remember. With COVID, everything's just like blurred into one long, massive year, to be honest with you. Yes. But yeah, so they did 2 seasons of The Real Housewives of Jersey. And every time people are like, so do you know the Housewives? And I'm like, no, because this goes back to the whole, do you know 110,000 people? And there was only like 5 or 6 of them. And no, I don't know them, I'm afraid. I'm sure they're all lovely people, but they're not in my circle.
Right. That's really cool, though, that they would do it. So that it's interesting over here because it's in all the big or nicer, I guess, cities, if you will. So they're in like a very nice part of New Jersey is where the New Jersey ones are. And I don't know them either. So I'm with you. Yes, I am so intrigued. It's been so fascinating to hear about Jersey. And I find it so funny because for me, I grew up in New Jersey. I moved to other states and I ended up coming back when I had kids. So I feel like our path is kind of similar in that sense too. But it's a nice place to live. It's not like the Jersey Shore TV show or, the other stereotypes. So it's interesting that both Jersey and New Jersey have some stereotypes to them that we can dissuade and tell the truth to.
Absolutely, because there's a lot, like, historically, they are linked because, okay, again, I'm probably going to butcher the historical story of this, but it was like, back in the day when America was being founded, I think that's the right word. Yes. So the land, which is now New Jersey, was, I don't know who gave it, but somebody gave it to a family who was from Jersey, which is why it ended up getting called New Jersey. And my understanding is that family's actually got very little, if nothing, to do with New Jersey anymore, just as times shifted and America got established as the country we now know it as. But yeah, so historically, the two are linked, which I do find really interesting.
I do too. And I think when we first met, I was telling you that it was kind of funny because the day or so before you and I met and spoke for the first time, I have 2 boys and they were asking, why is it called New Jersey? Why is it New York, New Hampshire, the different states we have? And my husband and I said, I don't know. And we had to look it up and we realized it was from Europe and there is a Jersey, but it was just funny how it all kind of came together within a few days of itself of my kids asking and then you and I meeting and getting to talk about it. So, yeah.
It's so weird. Oh, I have had so much fun. I think this has been really, really interesting doing this episode. We're going to put it out there. I'm so excited to see what people actually think of it. I feel, I could be wrong, but I feel like there might be a follow-up episode to this. I'm sure there's going to be other questions.
I think you'll get a lot of questions, written in the comments asking. So you can do some Instagram lives and kind of just.
Yeah, definitely. But isn't she the girl that talks about online courses? No, she just talks about Jersey and where she's from now. I have to talk to our tourism board.
I think I know what you're trying to do, Verity. You're trying to get approached for the next version of the Housewives of Jersey. I think you want to be one of them.
Yeah, definitely. They'd be so interested in me with, sitting in my little house office with the baby recording a podcast and grinning away, bless her.
She's so cute.
It's not quite documentary worthy material, I don't think, but never mind.
I disagree.
Oh, bless you. Oh, well, I have had so much fun. And Shannon, thank you so much for joining us. And as I said to everybody before, please check out the show notes for a link to Shannon's podcast because it is absolutely brilliant. And we're going to hopefully get you back on the podcast later in the year because you're currently going through a really exciting journey of creating your own online course. So we will go back to actually talk. The next episode is going to be about actual online course and blogging and all that business and all that good stuff that the podcast is actually about. And yeah, we're going to get Shannon back on later in the year. and we can talk about your online course journey and how that's going and get right back on topic with that. So I'm really looking forward to having you back on later in the year as well.
Yes, thank you. I can't wait for that. You've been so helpful on my journey as well. So thank you, Verity, for being such a great example, such a great friend. And this has been so much fun.
It has been. Well, thank you so much, and we will chat soon.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Bloggers Creating Courses. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, leave a rating and a review. Ratings and reviews help us to reach more people who want to build and scale their online course, so you're really helping to widen the support for our blogging community. To catch all of the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram @VeritySongon. I'll see you next time. Happy content creating.